I value this opportunity to speak about, also Hesped, about my dear friend, my colleague, my mentor, Rav Avram Chaim Tanzer. We knew each other for close on 60 years. We both learnt in Telz. We had the same Rabbi, the same upbringing in Telz, the type of learning that they wanted us to have, in the time of, and also what they wanted us to do when we left the yeshiva. So I really felt at home with Rav Avram Chaim. I think he did with me also, because we came from the same stable, like you say. My first recollection of Rabbi Tanzer, very interesting. I was a young fella, just came to Telz, and I remember that he had just got engaged to Marsha, and she was being driven by him in an open-air sedan. I don't know, just an interesting memory that I had. We didn't have much to do with each other at that time. I saw that he learned with Rabbi Baruch Sorotskin, one of the Rosh Yeshivas, Rabbi Baruch Sorotskin of Shalom. And I realized, and I do realize, and I know that he was clever then, Talmud Chochem, and worthy of having such a chavrusa. When he was asked by Rav Motel Katz, Chaim Mordechai Katz, to go to South Africa, I vaguely remember that we talked a little bit, but not much. But then, a few years later, after I had already been married, learned in the Kollel for close on 4 years, and been a Rebbe in the Mechina, he came back to Telz. And he came back to Telz because he wanted to bring somebody out to help him in South Africa. And then he talked to me. I remember that one of my dear teachers of Shalom, Rabbi Eliezer Levi, gave him a sound and a good report about myself. And I feel indebted to Rav Avram Chaim for bringing me back to South Africa. I didn't see my family for 11 years, and it was such a wonderful opportunity to go back home with a wife. Already, thank God, when we came with 3 children, and it was 1967, just after the Six-Day War. We went via Eretz Yisrael and to come back to South Africa. So again, I just reiterate that he was Hashem's shliach, and I always felt indebted to him for that. When we came, one of the ideas was to start a yeshiva gedola, and at the moment that didn't happen, but they asked me 6 months after I've been there to start a girls' school, a girls' high school. And I went out with one of the Balabatim, and we started with 23 girls. And again, it was with Rabbi Tanzer's backing. And I was the official dean of the girls' high school for 4 years. And plus I said a yeshiva, a shir in the yeshiva. And that time was really a highlight in my life, my career, and I'm so grateful for that. Rav Avram Chaim was a person, like I say, a dear friend, a wonderful colleague, and my mentor. He was a mentor. I had a lot to learn. Been away from home, I left straight after matric, came back, and one had to learn as if to live in the world. And I used to sit and talk to him, and he used to advise me on things, especially when I went afterwards to be the Rav in Sandton, and I needed advice, rabbinical advice, and he was always there. And all the years that I visited the yeshiva, it was very special for me because I was one of the first 10 Talmidim of Yeshiva College when it was in a house in Parktown. So I felt very, very close to Yeshiva College. And whoever I could send from Sandton, we sent quite a few kids, and they went and they learned in the yeshiva, and it was a wonderful relationship. But when I walked into his office, he always was with a smile. He says, "How are you, Rabbi Shmuel?" And I must say that I do feel that we were close because I knew that so much I had gained from this wonderful person. He was a person that he was a giant in his way, in his Habotzes Torah, and what he did for Yiddishkeit in South Africa. He brought many people to the shores of South Africa, and as a result of that, he had his hand in many institutions, and people opened up, brought Rabbi Goldfein, brought Rabbi Rom, brought Rabbi Rivlin, brought Rabbi Pfeiffer, teachers. Rabbi Mandelberg was on the staff together, and he was a person that really was a person who was a Talmid Chacham. He was wise. He was a real Pekayach. He understood people. He understood how to handle situations, and so much of that I learned from him. I remember that the sermon and droshes for sure. I remember one Rosh Hashanah, I was nervous. I needed some material for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur for my own shul. And I came to his home, to his study, and we sat and we looked through different things. And he was always a help. I must also mention that he was a person who we always turned to for his oratory. I loved the way he spoke. And on many occasions, important occasions in my family, and even to the time that we asked him to speak as one of the keynote speakers at my farewell when I left to come to Emeritus Israel, Avram Chaim, he spoke, and he really spoke so well. Before he left, he told me that I should get in touch with his son, Reb Baruch, who had a kollel. Wasn't sure for what reason. And when I got in hold of Reb Baruch, said, "Look, I have a kollel, I would like you to join it." I think this is one of the greatest assets that I've had while I've been in these few years in Eretz Israel, and please God, weiter, even into the future. I realize the person has to have stability, and you're going into a new world, especially at my stage in life, after 46 years in Sandton, 50 years altogether, having returned to South Africa. And there I was able to go every day and learn with my son, and it was something which was so wise, such a pikeach. I didn't think of it, he didn't explain why he was doing that, but he did it because he knew that this was the right thing to do, and that was Rabbi Avram Chaim. When I think of him in his statue as the Rosh Yeshiva, the Rav, in Glen Hazel. When I heard about his passing, I actually shed tears, because really he did mean so much to me. And I just don't know how that void is really going to be filled. But of course it will be filled. And I heard a beautiful hesped from Rav Gifter of Shalom, Rosh Yeshiva of Telz, on the passing of Rav Chaim Mordechai Katz. Rav Chaim Mordechai Katz, Rav Motel as we called him, was a Rosh Yeshiva, and he was older than, of course, most of the Rosh Yeshivas and people in the staff. He had a big position in Telz in Europe, and when he died, again there was a void. But Rav Gifter said that the yeshiva itself, that would be a Rosh Yeshiva, as if. And I was thinking, what does it mean? That it means that here was a person who was a Pikeach, who was a Chochem, who ran the yeshiva, who came from Europe, who had gone through trials and tribulations, who was a great Talmid Chochem, and he left indelible impression on the faculty, on the Talmidim. And we all think of, up to this day, when we mention in a most dear way Rav Motel. He was a father to his Talmidim, and I must say that was Avram Chaim. That for those who knew him from the very beginning, when the yeshiva was much smaller, and remember there were certain individuals, became their father figure, took care of them, worried about them. That was Rav Avram Chaim. And just to mention another thing before I end with what Rav Gifter said, is that he was a hard worker, very hard worker. He went out collecting for the yeshiva. The years that he went with Rabbi Hollander, even showed me how to go out a little bit for the yeshiva. I remember going out 1 or 2 trips. But he made it. This was his life. So Rav Gifter says that the yeshiva is a Rosh Yeshiva, that the Talmidim, the legacy, the learning, the imprint of a great person leading the yeshiva, that remains with everybody and gives them the koach to continue. Rav Avram Chaim Tenzer was a towering figure of a leader, of a wit, of humor, of depth of Torah, a Yirei Shamayim, that he had thousands of Talmidim, thousands of people who learned from him. And therefore I say, as if to Rav Avram Chaim, but of course we say it, that Rav Avram Chaim, you said that you were sent by Telz, you completed your mission. Your mission was accomplished. You were successful. You built a campus full of Torah, many schools, many minyanim. You served South African Jewry. We, your pupils, many, many, many pupils. We, the people that you taught us, that you gave us of your Torah, that gave of us of your charisma, we will certainly remember you. We are the great yeshiva which is going to continue, because it's going to continue your legacy, and your stamp will always be there with Avram Chaim Tenzer. Sadu Shemaya, you should be a good better, for your wonderful wife and family, for your Talmidim, for your congregants, and for the entire South African Jewry.